All right, welcome to episode one of Degrassi, the
Well,
Next Generation cast. Talking, what do we call it? We're talking
talking
Grassi,
Grassi, yeah,
talking Grassi. Yeah, we're
and
we're going over the Next Generation
episode
season
one
one.
and two because we wouldn't put you through a horrible cliffhanger like the showrunners did.
Well, actually, I did look it up, and it was actually a two-part special, so they ran it back to back for the
Oh,
for the premiere.
it was
So
pretty good.
we have never watched Degrassi, but kind of always have wanted to, especially
Yeah,
considering one of our favorite
musical
artists,
artist,
and well, just
singer,
general artist, really.
producer,
Um,
rapper.
he got his
Uh,
start. We're talking about, of course, Aubrey Graham, Daddy Drake. Made his first like appearance in this TV show, so we wanted to check it out. And so I think Kai's a bit ahead of me.
I
I've
am,
gone
but
through the first I've gone through the first five episodes, so we'll
I'm at
see how
like
much we
episode
we can
10 or
cover.
so, but I'm gonna avoid spoilers because the next chunk of episodes has a lot of Drake action in it. A lot of Aubrey and
Right,
Jimmy. His name's
right.
actually Jimmy in the show, and he's an
Yeah,
eighth
I
grader right now.
well in the show, yeah, he's an eighth grader in the show, but
Yeah. But so like
um,
honestly, what a explosive start to a series, you know? Like
it came in
I
swinging from the
I didn't
very first
expect it to
episode.
like that seems like honestly those two episodes could have been they could have been a season finale, you know?
I
And I
know, and
know
this is where we start.
we have to talk about Emma, but honestly, I think the Joey and Keith storyline gets very underrated in terms of this episode. Because I mean, Degrassi is like very prophetic in a lot of ways, and if you look at the conflict between Keith and Joey, it's really like the, you know, old neoliberal type of capitalism coming into conflict with the new expansive oligarchic type of capitalism. You know what I mean?
I know what you
Because
mean, and
like
just for the folks
there's
at home, you were talking about the car
the car
salesman
salesman and the
and the
film
film
director.
director. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Because they
So
don't make any
basic,
other appearances so far.
yeah.
It's just a
I think
one
they were in
episode.
I think they were in the original Degrassi actually.
Right, right. Because there was one or two different Degrassi series
Yeah.
before this. Right.
But it's like, you know, Joey, he's like bald and he has like a fun commercial and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's really like he's in it to provide for his family and he's selling cars at a small business to provide for his family, you know?
yeah.
And then Keith is like all about expansion, you know, like Keith wants to build his career, Keith wants to expand outward, Keith wants to like cheat on his fiance and stuff.
Right, right.
So it's like it's almost like I feel like the fiance in this situation is really a metaphor, you know, and it's like they're coming into conflict with our major, like I think societal issue in the 21st century, you know, where basically this new form of really like mask off capitalism is sort of like steamrolling the old way that was sort of a mirage anyway. But I think it's a very interesting dichotomy, and I'm really glad that they started the series out with that because there's a lot of other like the election episode is another one with very strong political
Yeah,
themes, and that one was like
yeah.
super prophetic in
That
general,
one
you know?
was definitely ahead of its time, and I can't wait to get into that one. And really, like, we gotta be analyzing this show with the framework that this is 2001 Canada,
Yeah.
right? Like this is 2001 here, okay? And it's Canada. This is a very Canadian show. I'm
I mean,
repping
they say
here for
sorry.
my
They
for
say
my. They
sorry
say
all the
sorry,
time.
not sorry. They say that all
Yeah.
the time. Have to rep for my home country, kind of. Not really my
Yeah.
home country, but. Um,
Your ancestral country,
my ancestral country partly.
your
Shout out,
homeland.
yeah. I have been to Canada a fair few times.
I went to
Love it there.
Canada. I thought Montreal was one of the nicest cities in the whole continent we're in.
Oh, for
I've
sure.
never been to Canada.
Oh, I
You're
hope
in
you
this,
go.
Eric.
I hope you get to go soon.
No, Canada is really nice. I mean, it's like every time you go to a foreign country, I come back and I'm like, God damn, it sucks here, you know? Because
This
like,
is so true.
Stilo, don't you step on that computer. Oh my God.
That's okay. The viewers at home don't know who
For the
Stilo
folks at
is.
home, Stilo is my cat, and he's not the smartest creature in the world, I don't think.
Well, maybe that's just what he wants you to think.
I don't know about that.
Okay, well let's start
Yeah.
episode one
Yeah, I
He
just wanted to talk
basically,
about Joey and Keith because
yeah,
that's such like a minor storyline. You almost wouldn't remember it with
right.
the insanity that's going on with Emma.
No, but the thing is that's very purposeful, I think, by the writers and the producers of the show.
Yeah,
To pretend like this is the subplot. Oh, we're just gonna brush this off. Oh,
yeah,
it's like the C plot. It's not even the B plot, much less the A
yeah,
plot, right? This
yeah,
conflict between the adults of the show, right? And
yeah.
this really sets in the tone for the rest of the show because although the main characters of the show are the seventh and eighth graders of Degrassi Community School, we see this huge rift between the adults of the show and the kids of the show. And in between the kids of the show, there's this hierarchy of grade seven and grade eights, right?
The grade
I
eights are
guess
a lot
that's
cooler, and for the folks at home, the grade
and
eights,
taller.
including Jimmy, sort of
Yes,
leer at
beautiful
the
Jimmy.
seventh graders, and they're like, "Get out of here, nerd," and stuff.
It is, and I do feel like it is very purposeful also in the casting direction of the show that the seventh graders all look about 10 to 11 years old, and the eighth graders look like they're about to graduate high school. I feel like this
Yeah,
was very purposeful to kind of highlight this inner hierarchy, really, that we see mirrored in this first episode
yeah.
between the adults and the kids. Like I think this is just a very genius show. There's layers to this. It's like listening to Some Sexy Songs for You by Drake. There's
Or
layers, right?
yeah. I mean, honestly, like the thing about Drake is like even a masterwork like that is not even close to his finest project. So,
Right. That
you
was just
know,
for fun. That was just for fun with his boy.
that
Like,
was just like a little record to let the world know, like, I'll bring my boy on that like no one's really messing with Ty Dollar Sign. That's the I like to get my dick sucked while I'm getting high guy. Like no one really took him seriously. And Drake is like, I can take these artists and I can actually elevate them to a different level. And I
right.
think actually as a thespian, he does that in this show a lot too when he shows up later. Like he's
Exactly.
really but
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
no, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
no. Please, 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 please.
So I think like the main thing about this show is that like it's a soap opera, but it's also like an after school special where it's supposed to really teach you something. So they have to
Yes.
take all these advanced adult themes and like package them in a way that a child could understand. But
Right.
also like there's a lot of hidden depth in the show if you're willing to analyze it. And it's like
Absolutely.
and I mean honestly like so for 2001 the main issue they go across in this episode is like I mean they were definitely a little early on that and it has gotten worse. So I want you to talk about your feelings while you watch this first two-part episode.
Right. And the main issue you're talking about here is kind of the dangers of the internet, right? And
Which they
you
don't
know,
even know. Yeah, sorry, go
talking to
ahead.
strangers, things of this nature, anonymity online. And the YouTube comments were quick to point out that they made episodes talking about catfishing before there was even a word for it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is pretty so let's start with episode one, which is Mother and Child Reunion, part one, right? Where the main conflict really comes from Emma, played by Miriam MacDonald, who is who's talking to somebody online via instant message chat on the family
I thought it was
computer.
email. Sorry, I have to stop you, but I'm pretty sure it was just plain old email.
It's pretty ambiguous what they're
It might have been like a
how
AOL chat room, but
right, kind of in the same way in it where, in a show such as iCarly, it's ambiguous what they're using to really to chat with and how they're streaming their show, iCarly. It's kind of ambiguous how they're messaging on the internet, which is actually a pretty important aspect of the show, right? The internet, computers,
yeah.
how we're talking, and we even see it in the opening theme,
I mean, yeah,
the
Degrassi
opening
has
credits.
the
It opens with Emma on the computer, right? In this software that we don't know anything about. Anyways,
Did you
it the
actually remember, was it in this episode that they made a point to say that Degrassi has one of the best computer labs in the city?
right because the NAT, I believe it was, or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
or National Kids News. whatever. They
Yeah.
donated 15 very top of the line computers for the time
Yeah. And
to the
that's
school for the
like,
lab, which is where
I
they have their
mean,
like homeroom or whatever.
and I mean, a lot of this first season is like, it has a lot of themes of like the battle of technology and the sort of burst of technology that happened after the turn of the millennium.
Right.
So I think the technology theme in general, you should mark that because it is important and they will come back to that. I haven't seen the finale, but I'm sure there's going to be some more
Absolutely. And
serious drama.
by the way, the first season does end after 15 episodes. We have a 15 episode
Yes.
first season. So Emma, she's on the computer. She's on her probably email. We're just gonna assume at this point. And she's talking to this guy Jason, right? Jordan. She's talking to this guy Jordan.
I thought
And
yeah, it is Jordan.
yeah, it's Jordan. I did have to double check that one. But she's talking to Jordan, and Jordan is, well, as we learn later, not like a real person, essentially. Well, I mean, it's a guy. It's an old
Yeah.
guy. And
But
he's
Jordan,
this old guy's basically like flirting with a seventh grader.
but he's also pretending to be 16. And I was like, initially, I was like, well, 16 is a little problematic in
And
general,
in of itself, right.
But like, I feel like it's very possible he was pretending to be 16 to see if that would raise a red flag for her or not.
Right. Oh, you
Like
think
it seems like he intentionally made that because he could have pretended to be 12 like her, And I think like
right.
he was trying to see if being 16 and in high school trying to date a seventh grader would like raise any red flags for naive Emma, our protagonist.
Right. Right. Now, so they're talking on the computer, and eventually Jordan's like, "Hey, we should meet up." And Emma's like, "I want to do that. He's
But
so beautiful." And this, leave episode one on a cliffhanger where Emma's like, "Let's meet up," and everybody's just like, "No,"
no, don't
like the
do it,
audience, you know what I
Emma.
mean?
Well,
I was
remember
screaming at
Emma
the
was
screen.
actually not gonna do it, and then she talks to her mom's friend, but she
Right.
leaves out some information. So her mom's friend leaves like some well-meaning advice, but it's also like I feel like if she knew more details of the situation, her advice would have been quite different,
Absolutely. It was a comedy of errors, but yeah, eventually Emma says, let's meet up. So she goes to his hotel.
He says he's on a school trip,
Yeah, he's not
basically.
on a school trip.
But he's trying to bring her guard down, make her think that it's like a sanctioned event that would be safe, at some random hotel.
Right. And I don't think we need to go into the specifics of it because
Yeah.
honestly, it is a tough watch. And honestly, I could imagine this being very triggering for a lot of folks
You
at
should
home.
actually put a trigger warning, like maybe starting like right when we discuss the episode after the Keith stuff, I think.
Oh man, hopefully. But anyways, this is a very heavy episode. It's really
Yeah.
tough to watch this vivid of a depiction of such a serious topic that many shows are
Yeah.
very scared to talk about. What's your take on this early rendition of such serious topics?
I mean, honestly, like obviously I can't speak too much on that situation because I've never been in a situation like that personally, but it's like it seems very grounded and realistic, especially for a show that's so exaggerated in so many other ways, And I genuinely think the showrunners were passionate about the message of you have to be safe online, and I think they made it so graphic specifically to try to impart a lesson of like don't trust some stranger on the internet that you haven't seen face to face,
Don't.
Just
Absolutely, you should
don't.
not.
Like the Grassi cast, you should listen to us, but you shouldn't necessarily trust us, like fact check us, whatever.
You should
It's
definitely be fact checking us.
yeah, I know there's some like super fans on Degrassi and like
Yeah.
and this is more of
So
like a blind reaction channel.
this is absolutely blind reaction, and we're trying to go as unspoiled as possible, which is very hard.
I
It's
accidentally
hard.
spoiled a certain portion for for my co-host.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened to Daddy Drake, but I do now know what
Jimmy.
happens to Daddy Drake,
Well,
Jimmy,
baby
Aubrey,
Drake.
Baby
Baby
Drake,
Drake.
future Daddy
Jimmy.
Drake, now
Well,
Jimmy.
Future's a whole different Scorpio artist. A whole
So
different artist.
Yeah, but don't read the YouTube comments because they will spoil shit.
Yeah.
So try not. I'm trying not to check those anymore. I was
I
having
mean, the
fun looking
show,
at it, but
it's fun to, it's really fun. Like I wish like I'm watching the new Last of Us right now. And actually, well, that's the worst example because I don't wish there were YouTube comments on that. But like on some other show, I was like, wouldn't it be nice if there was like YouTube comments you could scroll through when you get bored? Like imagine you were watching like a movie or something, like the Minecraft movie, and it like can't hold your attention anymore, so you just can scroll through the comments. And it's like but it's such a like dangerous power. You got to be very careful because people are having some rigorous discussions with the framework of the entire series
right,
in the
right.
comments. But
It's kind of
but
like watching like Stream East or something with like the live
yeah.
chat. It's dangerous,
Yeah, although
but it
the
is
Stream
kind of
East
nice to
live
have a
chat,
chat. It's nice to have a chat, but there is some terrible
yeah.
things that get said.
Yeah, like well that's just the internet in general, you know.
Very true. Good point. A salient point. So episode two is just this same Jason Emma arc.
But
Uh,
Emma's friends get very concerned and then they can't find her and they go and hack into her email basically.
yeah, yes. And it turns out that Jason had been hacking into her email as well.
He
Um,
wasn't even hacking, he was just doing some basic love bombing techniques and
well,
agreeing
no,
with
he was.
everything she said.
Well, he would read her emails to other people and then use that information in his emails to her to,
Yeah.
further kind of like groom her further. So
Yeah.
there are some subplots in these episodes, such as like the car salesman. And also
Joey.
for long time viewers of the show, they're probably very thrilled at that first episode where there's the
Yeah.
reunion from the former series where we have the former cast
Stars.
members get back together or whatever from
I
the
was
old
actually
Degrassi High. I had to look this up. I'm on the wiki right now, and I would not have known that, but it seems like a really nice touch, and you can tell they really
yeah,
care about the Degrassi universe to do something like this.
and the fans in general. But it's also it doesn't
Right.
seem cheap. I was actually a little disappointed because I thought like there would be some parallel stories going on throughout the whole season of
Definitely.
the adult cast
Absolutely.
going through their
Same.
stuff when they've been through the same school and then the
Same.
the younger generation is going through it. But it seems like maybe they didn't have the budget for that. Maybe they're gonna bring them back later.
I think this is possible, but I was having the same thoughts. I was actually very excited to see what
Yeah.
shenanigans the adults would get
And
into.
I think that would have been a little bit of a that's a little bit of a disappointment, honestly. Like I definitely have enjoyed the show so far, but I feel like if they ran more parallel stories of the adults and the funny thing in this story is like the adults are at a high school dance, they're acting more like children, and then the children are like banding together to save their friend, you know? So it's
Yeah,
very
right.
funny.
Right. Yeah, the writers definitely had a field day with that,
Yeah.
right? They were thrilled when they discovered that plot line, I'm sure. And yeah, when we talk about the show in the future, I'm probably going to be mentioning other shows that I have been watching in the past couple months, namely Pretty Little Liars and Gossip Girl, which are both like teen dramas, but they
Yeah.
are more aimed at like high school students, where this is more middle school focused so far. But in those shows, they do run parallels with the adults and the kids, which is a really, really nice touch. But I
Yeah.
always find in those shows, they write the adults really bad compared to the kids. They spend a lot of times on the kids' dialogue, making sure it runs well, it fits nice. And then when it comes to the actual adults, it feels off. And you can kind of see this in the first episode, the first two episodes. I don't know if you agree with that.
I mean, I'm not like the biggest teen drama watcher in general. So I know like if you're potentially observing a trope, you can notice it a little more. I mean, I feel like definitely like I forget her name, but the blonde one that was like giving Emma terrible
Right.
advice was like a
Yeah.
little goofy, but like and I found Keith was like although Keith is like very much a villain, just a more minor villain. I
Right.
found Keith to be a little goofy, but also I found myself like, empathizing with Joey's plight to get over his wife. But then also I saw some more of that bad dialogue where the guy's like, "Oh, she's been dead a year. Get over it."
Right, right. And there's in these first couple episodes, it's just like exposition, 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 right?
Yeah, and
Like
it's like,
characters calling each other by their name, like, "Hello, Eric. Oh, what is up, Keith? It has been 10 years since I last saw
yeah.
you." Like this,
And also, like, there's such a large ensemble cast, even with just the kids in the show, that
Right,
they can't do like an introduction for everyone. They just throw you into a different story with different characters each week, kind of,
right,
you know?
right. And but I will say that it does kind of feel like there are kind of a couple main characters, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I would say like the main characters of the show have to be like Emma and Ashley so far. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just my read on it.
Yeah, and like also Ashley's brother, I forget his name, which is a
Toby,
tragedy, Toby, Goat Toby.
Goby. I don't really like Toby too much, to be honest.
I don't really like Ashley too much, to be honest.
Me neither. And usually that type of character, I will be like the interesting thing about the show is that the usual archetype of character that I will like, I just don't like in this show, which is very interesting. I do think Emma and Manny have been the best characters for me so far. I don't know what
I
you
would
think.
agree. I would agree with that. And it seems like Maddie and Emma have a genuine bond and it feels
Right, they seem
authentic.
like
Like
besties.
they do care about each other. And
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure how much Emma cares about Manny. Like Emma
Emma's
was
too busy she's too concerned with Jason.
she's too concerned with boys, and it's like
But it's like she
Manny's
almost,
right there. Like that's your bestie. Like I just don't
yeah.
get it.
And it's like really she's trying to grow up too fast and it's gonna burn her. It did already, but it's like it's definitely hard to see, but also like for someone at that age, I can understand like wanting to be older, basically, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
Whereas it
I
seems
get
like
that.
Manny is more of a Zen type person where she's very content in just being,
Right.
you know? But it's also like how is like I'm pretty sure doesn't Emma come from a broken home?
Does she? I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure she just had her mom and not a dad in there.
Right. I
So it's
do. Yeah, I
like
do remember this. I do remember this now.
and it's like I we don't really learn much about Manny's upbringing, but I could say like if maybe Emma has had a more like tumultuous childhood and then Manny has like a more ideal childhood. I could see that making the sort of shift in them where Emma's ready to be like gone and be an adult and Manny is just content with being and wants to, you know, do kid stuff.
Right. I
So
mean,
that's
they're in
kind of
grade 7 after all.
yeah, grade seven is also like such a weird grade. Like I feel
It really
like
is.
if you had a good time in grade seven, I don't trust you. I
That's hilarious.
my two good times in middle school were like winning the battle of the bands in sixth grade, and then all the eighth graders were like pissed. And then in eighth grade, we had this principal that would just be yapping like every single lunchtime. And I was just like, at the end of the year, I just stood up. I was like, oh my God, can you just shut up for once? Like, you're making more noise than this entire cafeteria full of children. And then she put me on in-school suspension. And and I had to go weed the yard of my school in DC summer heats.
That's hilarious.
It's pretty good. I was like, why the fuck are they allowed to make eighth graders manual labor? We were like
That's
weeding.
crazy.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
I know. It's like
Making you do chores.
no, like manual weeding, like weeding and like weeding's not that bad in general, but this was I think June in DC, which
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
really the DC climate's pretty much exactly the same as North Carolina, the North Carolina climate, just maybe 4 or 5
Right.
degrees cooler. But it's like that humidity is no joke over there.
No joke. No joke. And speaking of principals, Daniel Radich, who is Degrassi's principal, actually seems pretty
You
based. I'm not
said
gonna lie.
Radish. They call him Mr. Radish, I thought.
I that might be how it's said. It is spelled Radich,
Yeah, they call
but
him Mr. Radish though.
I believe it's in episode 5 he appears, and he seems actually pretty cool, I will say.
So you have not watched the basketball episode, right?
No, I've not watched the basketball episode quite yet.
That's so unfortunate because that one's been my favorite so far. So I can't wait for
Oh,
you to
okay,
watch it.
that seems to be episode 7.
it's
I'm
a
excited for
genuine
it.
treat. It's a very, and especially for us Aubrey fans, it's a real
Right,
treat.
right. Absolutely a real
But
treat
so
to see.
episode 3 was the election special, right?
Episode three was the election special, but we're gonna have to save that until next episode
Yeah, I mean
of
we,
Talkin' Grassy.
which is a
But
shame
I
because I
can't. I am
definitely have
excited.
some,
I'm
I have
excited
some
to talk about
thoughts
it.
on episode 3 in general.
Yeah, once we get to episode three, now we can finally talk about like the grade eights and the grade sevens and
Yeah,
all the other characters. It's all just been Emma,
yeah.
Emma, Emma, but I'm excited. I'm excited to
I mean,
continue
and
doing
I'm
this.
honestly just glad Emma was like okay and they saved
Oh my
her.
God. I mean,
It was
but
very stressful.
at the end of episode two, she obviously was not okay.
I
The
mean,
way she kind of broke into tears
she's gonna need
to her
some
mom,
therapy for that, you know.
that was like really, really like heart-wrenching there at the end of episode two.
She's gonna need some therapy, unfortunately.
Absolutely. But they do kind of just sweep this under the rug. Like it
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean
actually
it's
have
like a
lasting consequences, which is a shame. Maybe this will come
yeah,
back later. We'll see.
yeah, but I mean Jason, yikes. I
On
was
some
like
Kendrick shit.
on some Kendrick. I was gonna okay, okay. So should we discuss the allegations that a certain very short rapper threw upwards at Aubrey Graham? Should
Should
we
we talk about
discuss
Kendrick? We
should
have
we talk
7
about
minutes to
the
talk about Kendrick.
we have 7 minutes to talk about. So I want to say first off, he really thought he was Pusha T. And it was so
Wait, we
funny
should
that he
save
was
this
like,
until the Drake episodes. We should talk about Kendrick.
well, no, I feel like, you even commented on it. You were like, this is a wild first episode for Drake's show, you know?
Right. Right.
Because actually, for the folks at home, Drake has been accused mostly by people online and a very short rapper of being having similar patterns to Jason. And I'm
Right.
just curious, like, if you believe any of that is substantiated, or if you think it's kind of just like smoke,
I
you
mean,
know?
it's interesting. I mean, obviously, most of it from Kendrick's point of view was a marketing tactic, right? He wanted to go
Yeah,
number one,
Drake
and it worked,
stimulus.
right? It obviously worked. And
He also he had a framework to go off of because actually I would say the one loss that Drake has taken, and he actually took the loss with dignity and got improved himself from it, was in the Pusha T rap beef of 2018, where Pusha T dropped a bombshell on the entire hip hop world by revealing that Drake has a child that he's been hiding, and it was
right,
true. And
it
then
was very
also
true.
Kendrick said, "You're hiding another child," which is just so
Right.
funny in hindsight because nothing's really come of that.
Right. And then the Kendrick stands are, oh, it was a metaphorical child. It was a
It was a
metaphor. Oh, he could have had a
metaphorical.
child.
That's
Shut
like
up.
Schrodinger's metaphor, dude. They've won. Like Kendrick's not even that really all that of a lyricist in comparison to like Kendrick fans really think he's like Black Dot over here, and he's really just like he's rhyming. He's like he's trying to be Cardi right now, like
I'm
on
a lyrical
GNX,
miracle. Like, shut up.
lyrical miracle, spiritual individual. Yeah,
No, okay.
and I mean like
Let's
also
talk about the Drake
okay,
video though, because there is something to go off of. He was on stage and he kisses a fan on stage, and then
yeah,
obviously the fan's like, "Hey, I'm like 17," and he's like, "Damn, that sucks," and then kisses her again.
yeah.
Like,
I
there's
don't
obviously
know.
like that video that's
Yeah,
going around, and that's not okay.
yeah. That's insane.
That's not cool.
We can't
Straight
defend
up,
that.
not cool.
And then
Drake, no.
yeah, Drake, what were you thinking? And like
What were you
on
thinking?
stage, like,
Not cool.
yeah, insanity.
However, I mean, he's grown up though. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, and like
he's a different Aubrey.
I mean, really the other allegation that Kendrick went off of, he references it in his deleted song. I forget what it's called, but it was the one that was produced by Jack Antonoff.
Right.
And he talked about Millie Bobby Brown, and
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown.
that one seems a lot more nebulous to me because like while Drake did have a friendship with Millie Bobby Brown that could be construed as inappropriate, it's also like it feels like Drake is one of the few people that has gone through being a child actor and stuff, which it's is not
Right.
easy.
Right.
And it's just like to think that something automatically inappropriately happened there is just it could be a little strange to me, like without any evidence. And like, you know, there's like a certain jazz trumpet player that you played with who
I did not, first of all.
who got overdubbed over you. And
Yeah.
where it's like just like the amount of allegations that came out after the first one are like were staggering, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And it's just like I do think if allegations like that were levied against Drake, I would very sadly have to rescind my fandom.
I mean, of
You know?
course, obviously.
Yeah.
But but the thing is that right now we just don't know like
I
what's
mean,
going
this
on, you
year
know what I mean?
no allegations against OVO came out, but then TDE, some pretty severe allegations came out.
Yeah, and here's the text. Oh, we just texted each other the other day. He was like, "I miss you so much." I was like, "I miss you more." He's great. This is the Millie Bobby Brown Drake text messages.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it is what it is, right?
I mean, Drake is the certified boy lover. He is an expert on the sort
Lover
of
boy, right?
relationships. Yeah,
Certified lover boy.
certified
Um,
lover boy.
okay. So I think we're gonna end Degrassi,
Yeah,
Talking Grassi episode one
but I mean,
there.
what a start to a series. And I
What
know
a
like I
start.
can't wait to see like season 3 when their budget really goes up.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm very excited for to continue the show. I mean, it is very, very
Yeah,
fun. I was itching to watch more, to be honest with you, but
me too.
um
I had to wait because my co-host took a long time to start watching Degrassi, so I had to
yeah, I was
actually
locked in.
stop.
It's all right.
We're
Okay,
both locked in
so
now.
we're locked in right now. So I think this is gonna be the end of episode one. So we'll see you in the next one. And once I figure out how to end the recording, like it's over. Okay. Okay, see you in the next one, guys.